The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Greetings, Earthlings, and alert the media. The banger is back on the microphone. No bout of climate change can affect the sonic vibrations emanating from this microphone. From record highs to freezing balls cold, we're weathering the storms of life to bring you a heaping-sized plate of entertainment and enlightenment that leave your brain filled with nutrition to keep you safe, strong, and satisfied while you wallow through the malaise of nonsense and stupidity that life throws at you. And even the banger has to deal with stupidity. And lots of it, folks. Apparently everybody thinks I'm in competition with them. Or they're in competition with me. We've had some things going on over the past few weeks that have brought this to my attention. And I'm trying to understand why anybody would think I'm their competition. Or that they're my competition. I mean, I have peers all over the internet radio world, and that's what I consider them, my peers. We're on the same level. We're not trying to step over each other, trying to knock each other down, or at least I'm not. I'm just carrying on with the best possible show I can bring my listeners. And that's how I'm gaining listeners, is I'm just bringing you genuine talk, music, and comedy to enlighten and entertain you. And yet there are folks out there who are in some sort of competition with me. If I go to a station, they're going to a station. If they're picking up some kind of new station, they're bragging about it. And I'm to the point where I'm like, hey, that's good for you, man. Great job. Appreciate it. But what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go out there and be all upset because you're getting on this station or that station? Or do you want me to give you a little trophy? I'm not sure. I'm not in competition with my peers. I mean, we're fighting for a small market. Why would I be in competition with any of them? And truly, my show is not really like anybody else's show. So I don't understand why people think I'm in some kind of competition with them, or they're in some kind of competition with me. I mean, to the point where some people go to certain stations that they weren't on and twist things around and affect things so a time slot that I've built over the past 2 years is now theirs? Hey, if that's cool, man. If you want to do that and you want to work it out that way, that's great. I don't mind building time slots for people. In fact, once the owner got wind of some of this, she came to me worrying that I might leave the station because somehow I got switched and she wasn't aware of that. And I was like, no, I'm good. In fact, I'll show you how good I am. I'm going to do promos for the station. I don't mind building up another time slot. It's no big deal to me. I'm here to help the stations I'm on. And if putting me at a different time on a different day is going to help the station out, then fine with that. Let's do it. Sometimes you got to help the new shows, and you give them a slot that there's already listeners in, and then you let somebody who's been around, build up another time slot, and I'm good with that. And so, she was all worried that the banger was going to leave the station or something, and I'm like, no, I'm good. And in fact, I'm really good with the owner. And that's a lot of people don't understand this, and maybe they should take this into account before they go around doing things. It's because, I talk to all the owners of the stations. I go beyond the program directors and the person making the basic decision on where the programming is, and I make friends with the program directors. And those are the people you want to be friends with, and really outside of, one of the stations I'm on, I get great responses out of my owners and program directors, and can't get any responses out of another one. But hey, that's, one day I may not be on that station if this continues. It's no big deal. I try really hard to promote these stations. I got the weekly schedule up on my Facebook page where you can go to all the stations. All the stations are then equally promoted. I make the station's little promo spots, and I also have been putting together videos, promo videos for these stations, so that they have another means of promoting not only my show on their station, but they have a way of promoting their shows or their station on various forms of social media. And I am amazed that more of my peers aren't doing those sort of things. I was speaking to a prospective radio station, and I had to turn them down. But from my understanding, they have to barter with radio hosts to give them a promo for the show or for the station. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why wouldn't a host or a show want to promote themselves on a station and do a promo for the station as well? I mean, that's kind of like saying thank you for letting me be on your station. And I know I go out of my way and I work extra hours just to do such a thing. And I just did one prior to today's broadcasting for one of the stations. And I promoted a bunch of shows on their station. No cost. It was something I felt I should do to help the station out. I mean, they are helping me. And the owner, she does a lot of promoting of my stuff. She's a huge fan. That's why when she comes running to me, and I was like, whoa, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. She had no idea that I got my time slot moved. And for a show I'm not sure she even likes. But I told her it's no big deal. I'll build up that new time slot. It won't take me long. She knows it won't take me long. She knows I deliver quality broadcasting here on the John Lebang Show. But you go out of your way for certain people, and it still doesn't become, they don't become appreciative of the work you have done for them. I've done countless hours on the one station I'm ignored on, which is fine. If you don't want to deal with me, I send you private messages and I don't hear anything back. Completely ignore. I was trying to get a friend of, well, I shouldn't say a friend, a newly found friend, where he's a host of his own show, or he has a trio in his show, and he was asking me, hey, you want to help me get on some of the stations you're on, and I'll help you get on some of the stations I'm on. And I'm like, sure, I don't mind helping. That's what I do. And so I got him 3 prospective stations, within probably 15 minutes. I talked to the owners, gave him my seal of approval, because I had listened to the guy's show. He sent me a show. I checked it out. I was like, hey, it's not bad. It's better than a lot of other shows I listen to. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to do such a thing. Still waiting for the the confirmation that all 3 stations have picked him up. At least 2 have. Of course, I'm ignored on the 3rd station, so I don't know if they're going to pick him up or not. I don't understand how that works either, but, I have a clue as to why that might be. But if you're promoting my stuff, I'm going to promote your stuff. And if you're going to tell me that, hey, I'm going to help you get on a station, if you help me get on some stations, well, here I go. I went and helped and got this other show on a couple stations, maybe a 3rd. We don't know yet, but at least 2 stations. I believe it's 2. I'm going to get confirmation on that very soon, I think. I'm hoping for some, some love back. I haven't seen any love back. As far as stations are concerned, prospective stations, and I'm hoping that, some of that works out as we go along. But, I'm more picky about the stations now than I may have been a year ago. I've gone through a couple stations that I had to toss because I just didn't see a benefit in being on their station. And so now as I look at prospective stations that I'm going to work with, I'm going to examine not only what kind of stations they are, but I'm going to check out their website, and I'm going to see how many shows are on their station, and then I'm going to determine how many listeners. I'm going to ask you about what your station is bringing in, how old your station is. Because it makes no sense to just go to any station and have one listener here on one station and one listener here on another station if those stations are only getting a couple, 20 listeners, we'll just say. And it's not talking bad about these stations, but when I'm looking at expanding my program and putting into work to putting in promotional videos and doing promos for the stations and really pumping the stations and as well as pumping my show, I want to make sure that station is, on good foundation and that they have a good listener base, or it's not worth the work. And all these other programs that are fighting for scraps on these stations just because they want to get on as many stations as possible, and they don't care if there's only 1 or no listeners. I'm to the point where I'm turning down. I am turning down stations because I don't think there's potential there. The one station I turned down up in the Cheeseland there, they have a couple shows that I'm on a few other stations with, but I looked and they have like 6 shows. And I'm like, well, what you're offering me isn't enough for me to put in the big effort back. Now, if you want to offer me something better, it's great. But at this point in the Banger's career, or in the John Lebang show's, lifespan, we're ready to move on to bigger and better things, and we're not worried about picking up a station in some remote state or country that's only going to have a few listeners. It's, no offense to the stations, because I don't bear any offense to anybody. They just need to build their station up a little bit more before it's worth the John Lebang show going there. I've got really high goals for this show. And so we're not going to just take on any knick-knack operation as an affiliate. Not anymore. We've got a host of affiliates. We're at 30 now. 30 stations we're on across the globe. And every single one of them, including the ones we just picked up this past week, are quality stations. And we're going to actually start doing like a list of the stations that promote the John Lebang show the most. Because I think they deserve credit. Because if you're going to put a little time and effort into my broadcasting schedule, into my show, if you're going to pump my show, I'm going to do the same back and tell everybody who's pumping my show. And I'm going to make sure your station is getting the recognition it deserves. Because there are some stations I see out there that have shows, but they never promote the shows except for the owner's show, the person who owns the station. That's the only show they really promote. Or maybe they'll have a buddy on their station and they'll promote him. But that's the extent of their promotion for all the shows that are on their station. And if you own a radio station, which I'm actually thinking of starting one probably next year, if you own a station, you would think that you would promote all the shows that are on your station equally because you're trying to build your station. Folks, I didn't even cover part of this yet. I have more to talk about, but we're up against a break. So I've got to take a quick time out. When we return, we'll probably continue on with this conversation, and then we have plenty more information coming your way.
Hey, don't touch that dial. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
I promise. Wrecking Crew, Detroit's own head-cracking, ass-kicking tribute to Motley Crue. Playing all the greatest hits. Catch their 2017 tour, March 4th at the All Around in Taylor, Michigan. April 1st at the Music Factory in Battle Creek, Michigan. April 29th at the Diesel Concert Lounge in Chesterfield Township, Michigan. June 24th at Poopy's Pub and Grub in Savannah, Illinois.
Wrecking Crew.
For more information about Detroit's own head-cracking, ass-kicking tribute to Motley Crue and additional tour information, go to their website. That's www.wreckingcrewdetroit.com.
Wrecking Crew.
Detroit's head-cracking, ass-kicking tribute to Motley Crue. If you are elderly, disabled, receiving SSI or Medicaid, and you have a medical need or require assistance with daily housework, shopping, grooming, medication, you may qualify for housekeeping at no cost. Call now. VIP Home Healthcare, 248-579-3805. VIP Home Healthcare. There when you need them. That's 248-579-3805. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's what's cool on radio.
Now, as I was saying before the break, I'm not in competition with any other shows in particular, because my show is really not like 99% of the other internet radio shows or even terrestrial radio shows. I bring a unique style to the airwaves, and that's the Lebanger style, the banger style to the airwaves. I'm not strictly talk. I barely play any music anymore, and that's because it's really not worth it to play music. Again, that goes back into doing things for people and not getting reciprocation on the favors. So I've limited the amount of bands that get played here on the radio broadcast. I don't mind filling up a whole hour with talk and comedy. I can do it. It's not a hard thing for me. And it's amazing that, people even feel in competition with me, because I'm a one-man show. Most of the internet radio shows out there are 2 and 3 people. There are very few people. There are some that are one-man shows. But most people cannot carry on a show on 2 hours or 1 hour on their own and be entertaining the whole time. So they have multiple people, and that's fine. Sometimes straight conversation with people helps carry a show through, and you can get some really good dialogue going. But that also makes me wonder why people think they're in some kind of competition with me, or I'm in competition with them. I'm a one-man show. Most of the people who think they're in competition with me are 2-man shows. I don't play music, and I do a lot of talk and comedy. And when I bring guests on, they're not just any old band or some person that we idolize. They're interesting guests. Just like we had Derek Shelmerdine last fall. And what an interesting guest he was. Please, if you have not heard that interview, go back into the archives and look up the Derek Shelmerdine interview right here on the John LeBang Show. He's the author of the book Rock and Roll Unraveled, and it's an amazing book, and he was an amazing guest, and I had actually brought him on a radiothon that I had helped a station out with this past Christmas, which is funny because, I help people out. That's what I do. I promote people. I do what I can to share because I'm all about the little guy, right? And yet, some station, one in particular, I've helped out a great deal. I've done videos and I've done promos and I've filled in for shows and I've sat in overnight for them a few times, and yet I don't seem to get any love at that station. It's cool. I don't really need the love per se, but it feels like there's like tension there. And I'm not in competition with any of those people because our shows are way different than, from one show to another on that station. I mean, you can only be in competition with people that have shows that are very much like yours, right? And even if that's the case, is it really competition on the level of what most of the people that are my peers are on? You can't even call it competition because most of the listeners we're fighting for are scraps, just little bits, 2 here, 3 here, 6 here, 15 there. Might get lucky and get 100 on a station if the station has some popularity to it. So if you're in competition for 2, 3, 4, even 100 listeners, or if you feel like you're in competition, then you're looking at this whole thing wrong. I don't even listen to my peers per se. I may slip on a show here and there for a little bit, but when you're talking about regular listening, I spend my time listening to William Cooper's past broadcasts, Michael Savage, who's on the radio all over the country, Rush Limbaugh. I'm trying to emulate them. If there's anybody I'm going to listen to, it's them, because I want to raise myself to that level. I don't want to be on the level where I'm fighting for scraps from this station and that station and that station. The internet radio world has not exploded yet. There are a lot of stations out there for people to choose from, and because of that fact alone, the people who are just now getting into internet radio or just now discovering it are in the small numbers. It's going to take years and years and years to build up this internet radio to where it can compete on a level playing field with the terrestrial radio stations. If it will ever, because with internet rules being the way they are, as far as how, the numbers are calculated versus royalties and such, the internet radio stations are at a big disadvantage compared to the terrestrial radio stations. So you just have to do your best in this world of internet, and that's why I've moved to stations that do broadcast AM and do broadcast FM. And I'm going to continue to do such a thing, because that's where the true market of listeners is at. And it's not putting down the internet radio listener, and it's not putting down the internet radio stations or shows. It's just the fact that we're still in the infancy of internet radio, and most people don't even have a slightest clue of what that is. And until it can gain some popularity, until there's enough quality stations out there that deliver great entertainment, news, something for the listener to think they are getting some value out of their time tuning into your station, it's going to be that way. Terrestrial radio is king in the strictly audio world. That and the fact you've got to deal with people who don't have very long attention spans, so internet radio can be a downside to them. They'd rather go see a video for about 4 minutes on YouTube to get all the information they need. They're the type that read the headlines and think they know everything. So to fight over scraps and to think that we on this lowest tier of radio broadcasting are in competition with each other, are fighting over scraps, it's ridiculous. Improve your product to the point where major radio companies such as Clearwater, or whatever that name is, Clear Channel picks you up. Or if you can get on a local station where your show is picked up there, then you're getting somewhere. We're not in competition, these people on the same, the people on my peer level here in the internet radio world, and some of us who have broken into a little bit of actual real radio. Stations that have given us a chance. We're small fish in a huge ocean. And if we're going to start eating ourselves at this level, forget about it. Nobody's going to make it to the big time. And that's why I stay out of it. That's why I do my own thing. That's why I just work hard and build my program the best I can and help the stations out that help me out. And stations that don't want to put time into me, they're eventually going to get dumped. It's no big deal. And it shouldn't be a big deal on their part either. Because if they don't feel a need to promote my show on their station, then why should I worry about even being on that station? So we're up against the half-hour break, folks. When we come back, we'll probably talk about something much more important than this, so stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
You'd be crazy to change the dial now.
Fans, do you need a video for your brand new song but don't have a lot of money? Then contact John Lebang. His reasonable rates, professional look, and fast turnarounds will help get that song off the ground. Contact him at jlebang.com.
CRRM, CarePoint Billing Services. Their billers and managers are all dedicated to working for you to increase your profits. For more information, call CRRM at 248-579-3805. CRRM, CarePoint Billing Services. And allow me to do a little bit of self-promotion. If you like what you're hearing here on The John Lebang Show and would like to know more, then please go to my website. That's www.jlebang.com. If you have any questions for The John Lebang Show, comments, or maybe you just want to send us some hate mail, then please email us at jlebang@live.com. If you like videos and want to check out what we do on YouTube, then go to youtube.com/LebangYourHead or just type in Banger Incorporated and you'll go right to our channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, you can follow us on Twitter at John Lebang. And of course, we are on Facebook, so look us up on Facebook at The John Lebang Show. This half hour is brought to you by Pane in the Glass Window Cleaning. For a beautiful, sparkling shine that's crystal clear, call Pane in the Glass Commercial and Residential Window Cleaning. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass. Bands need a video but don't have the money? Then enter yourself into the John Lebang Show's Get to Work and Win a Music Video contest. Bands want to win a free video? Submit your songs via MP3 to jlebang@live.com. Please include a picture, a bio, and contact information. Bands want to win a free video? The John Lebang Shows get to work and win a music video contest. For more information, go to www.jlebang.com.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
Forces of darkness, the treasonable minds who collaborate must, can, and will be wiped from the face of the earth.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final half hour in this week's broadcasting schedule. During the break, I was, contemplating what I was going to discuss here. And I realized that I really didn't go into everything I wanted to talk about originally. And so I'm going to touch on that for a little bit, and then I'm going to do a little bit of news items. Then we're going to get into Cool or Uncool towards the end of the show, as I really did discuss most of the relevant and what I thought was important news in the first hour this week. And if you missed the first hour this week, then I suggest you go to the archives and search it out, or you start demanding that the station that you're listening to us on carry both hours of the John Lebang Show, because they might not be carrying both hours. And if they are carrying both hours, then you got to find out when we're playing the first hour so you can get there. I mean, you're missing out on some good information. So, before I get into any news here, to finish up my thoughts from earlier, another aspect in this world of internet radio that I've found is that bands in general don't do what it takes to get anywhere. They expect you to play their song. They'll just throw a song at you, or 4 or 5 songs, and they'll expect to play your song on their stations because apparently they think they're privileged and their music is so awesome. Yet when I ask bands to get involved in this music video contest that it's been a month since I announced that contest, and I just don't know if I'm going to do anything for bands anymore, because it's really been incredible to see what kind of reaction we've gotten to this music video contest. And there's a reason why I don't play bands as often as I used to, and that's because I found there was no reciprocation in the love that I gave the bands. I would play bands for, and not all the bands. There are bands that really went out of their way. One of them is the Dark Clouds. They're from Australia. One of my favorite bands. Please check them out. We do play them a lot here on the broadcast, so they're one of the bands we don't mind playing. But there's a lot of bands I've given time to, playing their songs multiple occasions, and they've never shown up to say thank you, or they've never promoted the show to say thank you. So I'm not as willing to promote bands as I used to be, and this has been brought up because in the last week there have been instances where one was a manager. They came to me as, how do we send you submissions for your show for airplay? How do we do that? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty vocal about it. All you had to do is look around, but sure, I'll let you know. Here's my email address. This is where you send it. And that's because they're starting to notice, because they didn't notice me before, but they're now starting to notice that I'm on a heck of a lot of stations. I'm all over the place. And they're like, wow, instead of just being on one radio station here or one radio station there, with a lot of the shows that are not on any stations I'm on, some of the direct local Detroit stations here that don't expand beyond the local area, those stations will play, and you're on one station and maybe there are 10 listeners or so, maybe 15. Maybe if you're lucky you get 30 listeners. You'll get the chance there. People are starting to notice because I'm on a lot of stations as well as a lot of my counterparts, and we're getting the most of the submissions now. They're going, oh, wow, these guys are actually cool. And so, I'm not that cool. Although I would bet you if there's somebody in the chat room right now, they would tell you that I'm not only am I fairly cool, but I'm a fair person, and I do go out of my way and work my tail off for people with very little in return from most of them. So I had that person wanting to submit stuff to me, but I know they had never listened, because if they had listened before, they would know, because I'm very clear at how you send submissions. And I've had videos out. And this is not a criticism as much as like, all you have to do is do a little searching. You don't even have to ask me. But I know they don't want anything but me to play their talents band on my, the songs from their bands on my show. And I'm like, well, I'm a little different than other shows. I don't just play any old band. I have to really like you, for one. I have to really like you. And I've already been through the ringer of having a band on, playing their song, bringing them in for an interview, them not being very good at an interview, them not promoting at all, so nobody comes to the show besides my regular listeners. And then when they leave, I never hear from them again. And so, I'm like, okay, I just don't do that anymore. If I bring a band on my show to either play their song or to interview them, it's because I like the band and I just want to help them out, and I'm not looking for anything in return. The other instance, though, was a former interview. I had an interview a few years back with an artist, and they had nothing to do with me for a year and a half, and all of a sudden they have a new record out, and we're going to get into what is really an album. They have a new album out, so to speak, and they want me to have them back on the show and play their song, even though I haven't heard a darn thing from them for I don't know how long, almost 2 years, about a year and a half. And I just told them what I told you. I don't do it anymore. I mean, you really have to impress the living heck out of me to come on my show right now, because I have no problem filling airtime. I can talk for an entire 4 hours if I wanted to. I've done it before. So it's for me to bring somebody on my show, they have to be impressive to me. I have to want to hear what they have to say. And it's people that are wanting something in return for nothing. And I'm really past that point. I've about had enough of that, actually, with people who want me to do things for them and then will not reciprocate. I've got clients that haven't even paid me for videos, and they avoid getting back to me. So, my tolerance for trusting people is very small. I just don't give people the time of day to have a chance to do anything to me anymore that could, that they could benefit from and I get nothing from. So I'm just rambling on now. So I just wanted to add that in to the little bit of the discussion that I was doing earlier. As we switch gears now for the rest of the show, we're going to talk about an interesting development that's happening on its way to the United Kingdom, and they're seeing a mysterious radio radioactive cloud that is moving towards the United Kingdom. And they're sending a plane out there, or they have sent a plane out there. The precise plane that flew over Chernobyl when it had its issues with radiation, to find out what the source of this radioactive cloud that seems to be approaching the United Kingdom. And there is speculation that it could be some sort of Russian testing up in the Antarctic or something, and maybe that's what's causing this radioactive cloud, and because of how the jet stream's going, that it's pushing it towards the United Kingdom, and they're worried that a radioactive cloud could cause some damage to people. And you could literally, it is feasible that you could attack a country and not directly hit them with a nuclear weapon, hit them just outside where it wouldn't actually destroy buildings, and let the weather just push in the radioactivity. And you could do some damage to a country that way. I'm not saying this is what's happening. In fact, we're having a major Fukushima incident over there in Japan, where they can't seem to shut down 3 of the 4 reactors that need to be decommissioned because of molten radiation seeping out into the ocean, into the ground. And it could be something like that maybe so much radiation has been pouring into the environment that it coalesced into a radioactive cloud over time and is now headed towards the United Kingdom. And, this is maybe a cry to our governments to, can we stop with the nuclear everything? Because it doesn't seem to be working out so well. Especially ask the people in Japan. They can tell you that it's not working out so well. And most people don't know, and this is the kicker of everything, these nuclear power plants actually work better if they put them on a fault line. Which, maybe they work better, but it makes no sense to me to be putting something so dangerous, something that's so critical on a fault line. But apparently they work better on fault lines. And in Japan, not only do they have tons of fault lines, but they are on an island. And there's not much place to go if you have to evacuate. You're swimming. And then maybe the sharks will get you. So there's that. A radioactive cloud heading towards the United Kingdom. It could be some kind of manufactured news to blame Russia for something so that we can oppose them in another fashion and cause trouble on another front. That seems to be the going theme. Just put John McCain in charge of it, and he'll get us in a war with Russia. Don't worry about it. So, outside of that, we're going to take a quick break here, folks, as we are running into the final segments of the broadcasting this week. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, because if you help them, they support us even more, and we also will gain more sponsors, which means the John Lebang Show can maybe add additional hours and even spread the word farther than it is now. Don't go anywhere, folks. The final segment of the show on the other side of this.
Don't touch that dial. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
You can bet on it, man.
Powerful, epic music by Toothbox Row. Life-changing lyrics come in every style, empowering humanity to finally unlock the chains of bondage. Experience the edgy side of positive music and rock your world today. From Primal to Divine, available now at sassyalternativemusic.com.
And I'd like to welcome our new sponsor, Pane in the Glass, commercial and residential window cleaning. For a beautiful, sparkling shine that's crystal clear, call Pane in the Glass Window Cleaning. You can find them on Facebook at Pane in the Glass.
If you want to contact the John LeBang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John LeBang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John LeBang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
Well, it's nice to know that a technology company is brutally honest with their customers. I got to give some kudos out to Samsung for being so honest with their customers and confirming that their smart TV sets, the one you have in maybe your living room or your bedroom or any other place inside of your home or apartment or bar, wherever, they're listening to you on their TV sets. On those TV sets, they can listen to every single word their customer is saying. And the company is warning their customers not to speak about personal information while they are near their TVs. Do you have a Samsung TV in your home? I wonder. I truly wonder if the American people know the surveillance they're under. It is nice. I mean, they legally have to tell you that because in some states that's illegal to record you without knowing it. So they stick it in their little policy in the fine print there. And it says, hey, don't talk in front of the darn TV because we might hear what you're saying and a third party might hear what you're saying and then we don't know what that third party will do with it. In fact, we're not going to tell you who the third party is. It might be a small company over here, might be the NSA. We ain't going to tell you. Technology is wonderful, isn't it, folks? But not to be outdone with these TVs. And you can do this test at home on your own leisure time. Don't do any searches for anything. Don't look up anything. Take a specific item, a specific topic, maybe a restaurant, and just talk about it around your phone. Around your phone. Don't have put your phone down. Just stick it somewhere where it's close to you. And then just have a discussion with somebody about, I don't know, whatever you want. Maybe you want to talk about Pizza Slut. I don't know. Maybe you want to talk about John McCain. I don't know. Maybe you want to talk about that you haven't had a date in weeks. It doesn't matter what you're talking about, but just don't carry that conversation over to the internet in any fashion. Don't do it. And then go about your daily social media life and watch the ads that pop up. And they'll amazingly, it's a miracle. They'll amazingly relate to the subject you were talking about. You weren't on the internet. You didn't search it out. You were just talking about it. And that's because your phone is doing the same thing, especially if you're using like Siri or the other voice-activated helpers in these phones. They're listening to you and every word. And then with the Sony TV, the Samsung TV, we don't want to blame Sony for being so open about their policies of surveilling you. Sony probably hasn't told us yet that they're doing it. But if Samsung is doing it, why wouldn't Sony do it? Or Mitsubishi or whoever has a television, a portable device, a phone, anything. Why wouldn't they have that feature? Especially anything that is voice activated. You didn't think that stayed in your house, did you? I mean, you're always connected, right, via either satellite or cable. Somehow you're connected to the rest of the world because you've got that thing called the internet. And that thing called the internet, if you're connected to it in whatever way you're connected to it, whether it be your phone or your television, because you got to download those Netflix, right? No matter how you're connected to everything, that makes you linked, right? So it doesn't matter how you're connected, you're still linked to the whole world. And at a second's notice, and what can go out can come in, right? You can turn on your television and go right to Netflix, and that's coming to you when the movie is on. It's coming right to you. And your TV's sending out signals. Your voice right there if you're talking to the TV. And you're talking about whatever with your whoever. Samsung is saying, this is not me. This is no conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact, or at least fact. I'm sure there were 2 or more people in a room discussing this feature on the Samsung TV. Could have been an open conspiracy. Hey, we think it's a good idea that every television we produce can pick up everybody or anybody's voice in the immediate area and record or transmit via third party, which we won't tell you who it is. So it could be anybody. It could be Joe Blow. Could be the NSA. Who knows? But that doesn't matter. Because we're just going to take your voice and whatever you said, and we're just going to run it through our phones, through the internet, and we're going to make that a feature in our television. Ask me why that is a feature at all. To make your life easier? Is that what it is? It makes your life easier to be that connected. But go ahead and do that experiment on your own. Set your phone down and just have a conversation with whomever about whatever. Pick your favorite restaurant or pick an out of the ordinary item you might purchase. And then over the next couple days, watch the ads that pop up on your social media, and then you decide,
Hey, John, are you ready for me yet?
right on time, Shady.
That's what she said.
She who?
She-Hulk, how the hell do I know? It's an expression, John.
Well, how was your trip to the store?
Gross, but I got the teepee.
How was it gross?
Well, the counter girl had a booger the size of Rosie O'Donnell hanging off her bull ring.
That does sound gross.
You don't know the half of it. Every time she would breathe, it would do gymnastics like an Olympian on a balancing beam. I almost threw up.
Well, did you say anything to her?
Well, I didn't think it would make a difference.
Well, what do you mean, Shady?
I really don't think she cares how she looks.
Now, why would you say that?
Because I don't think she looks in the mirror.
I'm not following you, Shady.
Listen, if she looked in the mirror, she would realize how stupid she looks with that bull ring on. And if she doesn't care about that, then why should she care about a 3-inch piece of snot slime hanging off of it, swinging around like it was on the monkey bars?
Well, you could have said something, Shady.
No, thank you. I'll let the next unexpected normal person deal with it. I've got better things to do than to throw up over someone else's bull ring hygiene.
Well, I see your point. So what's your cool or uncool for us tonight? And hopefully it's not bull rings.
You know, that would be a good one. But until you give me a proper introduction, you and everybody else won't know.
This hour's cool or uncool is
technology that records your private conversation.
Very fitting, Shady.
And that's what she said.
Our first call comes from the United Kingdom. Paul, what say you?
John, I love your music. All these years I thought you were dead.
Where did you hear that?
Some bloody newspaper.
I can tell you he's not dead.
Which one is saying that?
Some days when he farts, you would think he was dead.
John, I would love to hear one of your songs.
Well, we're not playing any music tonight, sir.
Can you sing Imagine for me, John?
You know what? I think he's got a case of mistaken identity.
Sir, I'm not John Lennon.
Well, who the hell are you then?
I'm John Lebang.
I never heard of him.
That's okay. No one else has either.
John, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
This stupid idiot said you were John Lennon. But he said it. Shut up! I had my hopes to speak to John Lennon, and this guy is a nobody. But he said it. John, are you there?
Yes, we're still here.
Who is we?
I'm sitting here with my friend Shady.
I've never heard of him.
What do you mean you've never heard of me?
This idiot thinks you're John Lennon. But he said it. Shut up! John, I wasted my time calling you because of this idiot.
Thanks for your call.
Those English people are strange.
All right, we have time for a couple more calls. Peppa in Chicago, you're up next.
I hope President Obama is watching me on my TV. I love President Obama.
Okay, thanks for your call.
Do we still have to call him president?
You know, I think so, Shady.
Well, hurry up then, because I've got to drop off a president at the toilet.
You've been going a lot lately.
Yeah, that's what happens when you eat a lot of bean burritos.
Well, you said you had tacos in Mexican Town.
I told you, those weren't the kind of tacos you're thinking of.
Up next, we have Donald in D.C.
I love you very much.
Thanks for your call.
Oh, I can't wait any longer. I've got to go before I start prairie dogging. I'll see you later, John. Bye.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for yet another week of broadcasting on the John Lebang Show.
The fastest 120 minutes on radio.
I'd like to thank all my affiliate stations. Don't forget to go to my website. That's www.jlebang.com. Thank you all for listening. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, this is John Lebang signing off from the Banger Studios.
3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same station.
Resistance is futile.
Anybody in here? The toilet all to myself. I should be able to get some good concentration. Hey, what are you doing?
Making sure you don't make a mess.
Trust me, I'm not going to make a mess.
And according to your track record, you've overflowed the toilet 4 times this week.
Well, if you stop making bean burritos, maybe I wouldn't have to overflow the toilet.
If you don't like it, then cook something yourself.
Well, I would if we had anything to cook.
Then stop complaining.
Listen, are you going to give me some alone time here?
Not on your life.
Then forget it. I can't concentrate if somebody's watching me.
Don't